events. We have with us today CTC astronomer Warren Hart, and he is with the Mayborn Science Theater, and he is going to go ahead and tell us what's going to happen in the March night sky. So, hey, Warren.
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah, take it
Yeah,
away.
let's do that. And to finish up February here on our calendar, this is our WebEx in February on the 21st, as you see down there. And then also, if you'll notice, on Friday the 23rd is the last constellation for February. That's Vela, which is the sails of the mythical ship Argo Navis. And that's there. We mentioned that last month. So, just as a reminder, that's closing up the last of Vela, the last of the February constellations. There was only four. And then this Saturday, the 24th, there is when I'll be over at the planetarium and we'll be on that evening starting at 5:30 going through the March information in the constellations. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that, and you can make your plans to come if you want, and we'll be enjoying having you there, and we will go on. So let's go ahead and look at the next calendar. That's our March calendar, and it includes the last 5 days of pardon me, of February. And you can see on Sunday we're going to have the last apogee moon for February, and that means that it is the farthest away there and on that orbit for February. And then we finish up on Thursday the 29th. That's a leap year. And I just put in a little bit of a notice there, and you see that in another 4 years, we will have the next leap year. So they try to keep it on every 4 years to doing that. So I digress. So let's get back on, and we want to go into March. And Cindy, let's look at that second row there, beginning with the third, and we'll see what is happening that we can look forward to here for March. And notice in March, guess what? We're going to have here in our calendar. Let's see. Our moon has gone around and it's on its last quarter location, or some will say the third quarter. And what that means there underneath is at the last quarter is a specific location in the sky in relation to here on Earth. And then, soon as that happens at 9:23 in the morning, then the waning crescent phase begins. And that's the phase that starts there with the last quarter, and it will continue till we get to the new moon position. And so, in between, though, each of the 4 points is a phase of that happening. And that's then on Sunday, excuse me, March the 3rd. And we're going to be viewing, if you will, and I did skip. I want to look back up on Saturday. Let's scroll back up to the first row there. My error, I overlooked the first constellation for March, and that happens to be Antlia, the air pump. So let us catch up, and I'll try to catch up with everybody. And there is Antlia, And as you see, it is in the southern hemisphere, and we are able to see all of it. There's no problem with that. And it's just down in the lower part, or the mid part of the southern hemisphere, about a little bit down in there. Not a whole lot for it. It's one of the constellations that was devised and came up in the 1800s, I believe. And so there we have Antlia, the air pump, if you will. So let's go on now to the second row where I started talking about it. And on the second row, there you see then our, uh, where I was talking about with the last quarter. And then we go ahead and we have our second constellation in March, and that happens to be the constellation of sextants, and it's the Navigator's Sextant. Cindy has that, so let's take a look at it. And it's, notice it is, and I call it an equatorial constellation. So, how would you figure that out as me calling this an equatorial constellation?
It's on the equator.
Yeah, it's the white area, the area for sextants, straddles the equator. So that's why we call it then an equatorial constellation. And notice the upper left-hand corner of sextants just doesn't quite touch the ecliptic, the path of the sun. And so it's not an ecliptical and an equatorial, it's just the equatorial only. And that's what we want to point out. So there is sextans. And as I said, that's on Sunday, the 2nd, the 3rd in March. Now we're going to go ahead and we get in the next part there. If you look at the calendar, and Cindy has that up, so let's go. And on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the 5th, we're going to have then our next constellations, the numbers 3 and 4. There are 8. And it's also, we have our last quarter location mentioned there. And we have the Hydra, the water snake, and it's the female. There's two water snakes. There's a male and a female, and this happens to be the female. Cindy has the page for it. And if you'll notice there, it is unfortunate, it is so large, it stretches its view for us on there because it's primarily, and on the paper, I'll have to put it on a um, portraits plan, and so it's it is the largest constellation in the sky, and goes there, and you see it's also it is an equatorial, and it goes clear down to the Tropic of Capricorn there in the southern hemisphere. So that is Hydra, and that thing goes on and on and on. And we could talk about that for the next month and probably the next month and a half. So it's just really stretched out there. Our other constellation that we have on for there is up in the northern hemisphere, and that is the Leo Minor, if you will, is the lion cub. And so there it is. And it's not on any area except down at the very bottom of it is the Tropic of Cancer. Now, we talked about the Tropic of Capricorn there on Hydra, and here in our northern hemisphere is the Tropic of Cancer. And that is the line, there of how far north here for Cancer, or how far south in the southern hemisphere for Hydra, that the sun would go in its season. So here is the latitude there. As you see, it's 23.44 degrees north of the equator, and that's as far north. And if you were along that line, that 23.44, and you wanted to see the sun as it goes past the noontime, you would look directly overhead. And that's as far as it will go. And then there is Ursa Minor up above, and it happens to be just a little bit north of our latitude. So actually, if we went outside at noontime and look, and we're along that line there, and we would look up, and it's just the uh, constellation is just a little bit north of directly over us. And the Tropic of Cancer, of course, is down to the uh, away from directly over us there at the Tropic of Cancer. So there we are with our third and fourth of our constellations. We're halfway through for March, and we're going to continue on, and we're going to have an piece of information that we need to point out and remind ourselves. And other than that, I want to as we get to it, I want to bring you to your attention. Notice on the 8th of March, we're on the 1 month until our total solar eclipse here at the planetarium area. So 1 month to go in March. And now we also have our fifth constellation for March, and that is the chameleon, the lizard kind of critter that can change its colors and blend in with whatever it's sitting on, walking on, or whatever. But notice this, if you will, you look up at the very top up there, and you see there is our southern horizon. See in the upper left-hand corner, it starts off, it says the CTC Planetarium Southern, go over to the right, horizon. So our horizon, where we are here, we can see as far south as that dashed little line. And so all of those stars, the black circles, solid circles that are from there on down, we will not see unless you decide to somehow travel south and then your southern horizon extends further. But we would, if we stay here, we will never see chameleon in the sky. So you see how far down it is, and it's next to Octans, which happens to be the one that is over and straddles, if you will, our south celestial pole. So that is chameleon, and let's see, that's the fifth one, and we have three to go, but we're going to look at the calendar, excuse me, and you're going to see something is getting ready to happen, not on Saturday the 9th, but on Sunday the 10th and the morning at 2 o'clock. And what's going to happen? We're going to have this fun time of the year where we add another hour to our watches, our clocks, or whatever you use to as far as time, and just put a reminder on there. There's a lot of people, and we do here at home, as on that Saturday evening, I go ahead and I go around and I change all of the clocks and the everything on the oven and on the microwave and all of this, and uh, all of those things, trying to get ready so that when I wake up the next morning on Sunday morning, it's all done and I don't have to worry about trying to run around and do that in Sunday morning. So that's a little note there to help you to get aware of what's coming up. Our third row here on March, we're going to see is on also on Sunday the 10th, is that we're going to have the moon in its orbit. It is going to be in its perigee location as it goes around the Earth there. And Cindy knows the difference between perigee and apogee. So how do you keep track of which one is which?
Well, the perigee is perilously close, which means better, use an umbrella when it's in that phase, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's getting closer to us there. It's perilously close. Very good. And then just another reminder about what's going to happen on the 2 o'clock in the morning. Also, 2 hours later, if you're still up, at 4 o'clock is when the moon reaches what is called the new location for the orbit of the moon. And what that means is the moon is uh, directly in line from Earth to the sun, straight ahead. And it's at its what we call the new location. And it had to be determined at some time by the astronomers years and century ago. How do we determine what's our starting point? Well, the easiest one is when it's directly in front of us and the uh, sun. So that is when the moon at that exact point is the new location. And then, like I said on the other, then what starts is the waxing crescent phase. Waxing is an old English term. It's talking about waxing means you are increasing strength or you are something you are seeing more of it. So as time goes on, there from that 4 in the morning, as does, you would be able to begin to see a thin sliver of sunlight that's on the moon. And it does definitely look like a very, very thin crescent. Now, what you can do with a crescent is you will see it goes from the top to the bottom, and it actually you could in your mind make that be considered as a bow, of like a bow and an arrow. And so as that crescent phase there, it's in a bow position, or uh, as it's you see it, then mentally put your arrow there, and the tip of the arrow, it will always be pointing toward the sun. So we will see it at another location that the moon is going to be above the horizon and that we can see it, but the sun is below the horizon. We can't see it, but we can use that bow and the arrow, and we can point to where the sun went down across our horizon. So that's just a little added thing if you want to consider. Okay, on Tuesday the 11th, we have two more of our constellations. And the first one is Leo the Lion. Now, we've already had the lion cub. So let's look at the map that Cindy has up. Notice right above Leo, there in the gray is the lion cub, Leo Minor. So we've just gone down a little bit to get into Leo. Now, let me ask you this. What would be a term that you would add of describing Leo, the constellation? Remember, I did with Hydra, and we said it was an uh, equatorial, and then we also we had on Leo Minor that it was a an equatorial and an ecliptical. So how would you describe Leo as you would look at it here?
Well, it would be ecliptical and equatorial, right?
Correct. Yes. So notice we would have here, and down at the feet of the lion, you have the ecliptic, the path of the sun, taking us going along there. And then also down at the bottom of our, toward the bottom part of Leo, the area, there's the equator. Now, notice next month we're going to have Virgo. There it is to the left, it's mentioned. And also, I've put there the circle, then yellow, and the S for the sun. Now, we have a crossing there of both the ecliptic and the equator. So something is going to be mentioned of what happens when the sun is at that point in Virgo. And we'll see if we can figure out what that might be as time goes on here. Okay, so that, let's see, for them, we have both the number, and let me get my number on here, of the constellation. It's the 6th and the 7th we have, and we've looked at Leo the lion, but we have one more, and let's see if we can find out what it is. And there it is, Ursa Major, and that's the big bear. And there we have it. And in our relationship to it, you see also down below it, there is our latitude. And so if we went outside and looked straight up over our latitude point at noontime, the bottom part of Ursa Major would be almost directly overhead. And then we would see as we look on further north and towards the North Pole. And we have no way, if you see off to the bottom right, there goes the path of the ecliptic. And so Ursa Major, no way is it in the path of the sun. So that happens to be then our seventh of the 8 constellations for the month of March. And there it is on Monday, the 11th of March there. Now we're going to continue on. And at the end on Saturday, the 16th, the moon has done something. It has passed on beyond the new position. As it continues to orbit, it then comes to a position that we call the first quarter. Now, easy way, remember the new moon is when it is directly in line from Earth to the sun, straight ahead, if you will. Now we go a fourth of the way around a circle, so it would be, if we're looking toward the sun, it will be at our left arm as it's straight out alongside, like a wide part of our body, not straight ahead, but straight out to the left side there. And so it's at that location, the first quarter, and it goes from a full, the fourth crescent, if you will, complete. We then continue with something called the waxing gibbous phase. Now, gibbous is a different term some of us may not be familiar with, but gibbous, all that means is hump, Hump. And so the as the moon continues moving along, more and more of it we can see that's illuminated with the sun. And so it looks like it's getting a bulge on it. Uh, and that's the gibbous phase. And because it's getting more each day and night, we call it waxing. It's still growing, if you will, and more visibility of the illuminated side of the moon. Okay, let's look at our next part of the calendar on the second page. And we come and we'll see there's something on Tuesday, the 19th of March. And look over there, there's the second half of it, and it's titled the Vernal Equinox, or for the astronomers, it's called the first point of Aries. What is it? Well, it's a point on the equator where we do get our left and right, our right ascension is measured. But notice here, it says the sun is on the equator. Picture in your mind when we saw Leo, and there to its left there was Virgo, and that's where the sun was as it crossed the over right on the equator. So we have at that point both the equator and the ecliptic connecting with each other. So let me ask you this. Is there anything we mention about this event, when the sun is over the equator and it's also crossing, it is on the ecliptic? Anything come up on March here, the 19th?
Isn't that's the equinoxes when they cross over, either the spring equinox or the autumn equinox?
Yes, and notice if you read there the latter part on the second half of Tuesday the 19th, and it said the sun is on the equator, and what did you say, Cindy? There
On
it is.
yeah, the equator and the what did I say?
Yeah,
Equinox?
the equinox. And when
Yes.
you say that, you are speaking Latin, equa and nox. And equa is pretty simple to make that out of. What does that Latin word mean in English? It means, what would it be?
The equinox?
Uh-huh. What's the first part? Equa? E-
Yes, so it
what do
means it's equal.
Equal. So
Yeah.
something is equal. And it's a little bit not quite as clear, but nox is meaning night. And so on that day, that time, at this case, at 10:06 at night for us on Tuesday the 19th, that is when we have 12 hours of sunlight and 12 hours of darkness world over.
Did not know
Yeah.
that.
And so, what season are we in right now?
Winter.
Okay. So, what's the next season?
Oh, spring, even though
Ah,
it seems like spring weather, but it's still winter technically.
correct. And we could also, if you notice on that second half of Tuesday the 19th, the term vernal equinox, which means also in Latin, that's the green equinox. In other words, the grass and the trees and are beginning to get the green there. So you could say vernal equinox or spring equinox, however you would want to say it. Now, what is it? This is the same time in the southern hemisphere. They are experiencing this also. So, what would they call it?
Well, is that the fall equinox?
Oh, it goes into the fall.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or the autumn equinox?
or the autumn. There you go. And so that's what we have as we're talking there. And that tells us as we're following the path of the moon, where is it? Equinox. Oh, okay. It's on the equator. And that would help us there. Okay, let's go on and we look and we find Friday the 22nd. And on Friday the 22nd, we have, and notice I've been putting on there, we will then be able to, we can view then the eighth of the 8 March constellations. And so undoubtedly, this is the last one. And there it is. It is Crater the Cup. Now, is as you would then scroll up just a little bit on the top, little, there you go, that's good, right there. I didn't put it on there, I could have, but you look up at the top there where it says 12H, the 12th hour, and there's the green line for the equator. There's the green line for the ecliptic. And notice also down in the gray area, that's Virgo we were talking about. So there is, and I should, or I can do that, put in then the circle for the sun. And then we know from as the sun travels on, there is the equinox, and then also for the change of our season. We go from winter to spring here. Now, the crater is south, of course, and the only thing is, it is down far enough that its area does include the southern Tropic of Capricorn, which is in the winter time when we would have then not the equinox, because that only happens on the equator. We would have on the Tropic of Capricorn, we would have then what would be we would call the winter solstice. Sol, S-O-L, is the sun, and the stice is talking about the sun seems to stand still. In other words, it doesn't continually going south. That would be very odd. But it comes down and it seems to stop. And centuries ago, this was what was stopped here. They didn't understand, but it seems like the sun has finally stopped, and so it's the solstice. And there it is going along as we can see in relation to the crater. And that is the last of our constellations for the month of March. And let's see what else we have that's coming on. And the next thing is, you see there, scrolled it up just a touch. So there you go. On the 23rd, we now, there is the apogee for the month of March. And there's the same thing as what we talked about. And it indicates here in the description, apogee, which is the opposite of perigee, means it is the farthest away from the Earth on this orbit for it going around Earth. So it's apogee.
Hey,
And
Warren, I have a
yeah,
question.
sure.
Since the majority of the constellations are earlier in the month, does that mean that's like the first time that you're going to be able to see them, and then you'll be able to see them toward the end of the month as well?
No, it'll be
Because
prior to. You'll be able to see them prior to and during. The point that I give for that, and let's just consider Crater the Cup,
Mhm.
okay? And if you will, go back to Crater the Cup diagram, the page there. Good point, what you're bringing up. What I have done is I look on there, and let's look at the very top. There is on the upper right hand corner area up there, it says 11H, 11th hour, 11 hours from the observatory in Greenwich, England. And then to the left, it says the 12th hour. So I take how wide, if you will, on there from prior to the 11th hour and to the almost to the 12th hour, what is the center line up and down for the middle, if you will, going left to right, uh, right to left, as we would look at it here. What, when is that? And then I would look on a time schedule, and I'd say, okay, that fits in here at this point, and its best time is in the month of March. And I give here, as we would look at Crater, and as I give it to you, its middle point would be best for us at, and I have here, 7:40 44 p.m. Now, that does not mean, and that's a very good question, you brought that up, that doesn't mean that's the only time you can see it. Because depending on where it is in relation to us, you could, and we could figure out if we wanted to, on that right-hand side of the white area for crater, could determine when does that, as it's coming up from the right. So look over to the far left, go straight across to the far left, and in between -10 and -20, I have on there which horizon?
the eastern horizon.
Eastern horizon. So a person, if you had this piece of paper and copied, and you go out and you want to see, you would turn that paper 90 degrees so that the eastern horizon is pointing down toward your feet, and you would watch, and you would start over on the very far right, and you don't see crater yet, but the over on the far right, we'll say that is the horizon at a specific moment. And I said 7:44, so let's just say it'd be 7:30 something, and you look and you're looking over and you don't see anything about crater. So it's 7:30, and it goes on at 7:35. You keep going, you don't see anything, maybe, and then as the time goes on, then all of a sudden it doesn't get light in the sky or anything, but you would be able to find and see that first star of crater, the one down there labeled as number one. And on the second page, go to the second page, Cindy, of Crater the Cup. Okay, let's find number one. There it is. There's its name. And we have on it there its time, point, its address, and all like that. And so what we're looking for here is when it would start. And for whatever reason, I didn't have it on this one, but I normally have on some of the others the time of when the first star is visible. So I would guess offhand if the middle point is 744, that somewhere around maybe 720, there would be when you would be able to see that first star right there. So you're going to see it prior to that point that I have listed of 744, and you're going to see it long after that time point. So it may be 8 o'clock, 8:10 or something or whatever, when finally crater has dropped down below the western horizon. Does that make sense for you?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, good question. Glad you thought of that. Okay. So let's go back and let's see what else we have. And let's see, we're going to go down to the 24th. And there is another lunar eclipse. It's not a solar eclipse, but it is a lunar eclipse and it is visible. You notice I have it where it begins on Sunday the 24th in the evening, and then on Monday the 25th, you notice there in the uh, first half of the 25th down, it says the greatest penumbral shadow lunar is the eclipse is right there. So you're halfway through. And then you see at the upper right in the 25th at a later time, 2 hours all and 20 minutes later, that's when it ends. So that's when you would see the last of it. Penumbral shadow means it is the uh, a shadow that is not in the darkest part of a shadow. Anytime, the next time anybody goes outside, like today, it's good and sunny outside. You get out there in an open area, look down and put your back to the sun, look down and look at your shadow. You're going to see a darker part of your shadow, which we would call the umbra. That's what we're going to have when we have the total solar eclipse. And there's a gray shadow, and that's the penumbra shadow on that. The, the umbra, the dark shadow, is much smaller in relation to the size of the penumbral because it goes from not dark, it's very dark, but is not the darkest, to less and less, grayer, 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 and finally you can't see a thing of any shadow. So that's what that means there. Then on Wednesday, the 27th, we are looking at our next one, and I have it, and I didn't update it. It should say there of the April constellations. My error. Then let's go over to Saturday the 30th, and we see on that, and that I've talked about and has been brought up. Sunday is Easter Sunday. So I've agreed to, and it makes more sense that scroll up just a little bit, Cindy, on the, there you go, just hold it like that. That I will do the next night sky view for, and it'll be for April, but it'll be on Saturday the 23rd because Easter is going to bump us off of the 30th.
Oh, okay.
So I could go back through and make that change if on there. But I didn't know about that until this last week, and I agreed to it, and I didn't think about changing my calendar. And that was my error.
No
So
worries.
if you're planning to come, it's not the last Saturday, it's the next to last Saturday.
23rd.
Hmm. And then there is on the 31st, there's Easter Sunday. And now we have viewed, if you will, the last of the 8 constellations for March. And so if we add that to the others that we had for January and February, we now have 19 constellations that we have viewed, which is 22% of the entire 88 constellations, which we will complete in December of this year. And then April begins, and there you see the last quarter location again, and it keeps going. And then there's the first and second over on Saturday the 6th. There's two of the also 8 constellations for April, Corvus the Crow and the Southern Cross. So, all of that is what we have to look forward to, if you will, for the month of March. And Cindy has brought up the Astronomy and Mayburn Science Theater page for the astronomy section, and I'll turn it over to you, Cindy.
Okay, well, thank you, Warren. I just wanted to remind everybody that to get to this page, you go to the library page and it's called Research Study Guide. And there's a list and you're gonna hit Astronomy and Mayborn Science Theater. This is where all of our constellations, all of the information is. Um, and the library events are also in here as well. And I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that our next night sky tour is March 20th. We've added April
Mhm,
17th. No,
mhm.
I don't remember what day it was. April 20 something. We'll let you know by the next one. And then it's going to be that the one that we're doing for May will be the last virtual night sky tour that we are going to be doing. Our fearless leader here is going to be retiring, and we have we've done this now for a few years since that very first winter storm, and we were very, very happy to partner with the Mayborn Science Theater to do this. We will still have the astronomy page up for everyone. It's still there. All of Warren's night sky tours will be on there. So you're not losing your astronomy. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll be able to convince him to come back and do just different topics. Like, as you can see in our flyer, Warren is going to be doing an eclipse safety event for us on April the 3rd. So we're gonna have Warren, and we know where he is, and we will always find him, right, Warren?
Yeah, okay. I can't run that fast.
And just guys, keep going with our Surviving Adulthood series. Check out our events because we still have a lot more events to go.
Hmm.
So,
Show them on, okay,
oh, what you want me to show them?
show them the countdown clock that you have on there.
Oh, for
Eclipse.
the eclipse.
Yeah, that's outstanding.
Oh,
You did that some time ago, and we've been counting
yeah,
down.
we've
There
got
it is.
46 days, 23 hours, 45 minutes, 14, 13, 12, 11 seconds. So,
Okay,
guys, we know when it's coming.
it's a coming.
Yeah, and here's we're connected to all of the Mayborn Science Theater information as well. Plus, we have astronomy books, we have databases, we have videos, just a lot of information, all of Warren's past night sky tours. We even still have all of his fun activities that he's put
Mhm.
up over the years. Lots of fun activities. So if you're an astronomy buff, make sure that you check out the Lib Guide. It's all about stars and stuff, right,
There you
Warren?
go. That's the technical word there. The stuff, that's technical.
The sky stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, let's check first. Alyssa, are there any questions?
No, no questions.
No questions. All right. Well, if you guys do have a question, make sure that you let us know in the comments and we'll get them over to Warren and he will have an answer. So, all
Okay.
righty. Well, Warren, we will see you next month.
Yes,
If we
ma'am.
don't
Looking
see you
forward to
before
it.
that. All right. And you guys have an awesome day and we will see you next time.
See
Okay.
you now. Appreciate you coming.
Yeah. And Alyssa, if you will take us out, please.